Hasbro has issued a trademark with the U.S. Patent Office. And this trademark, serial number 874778788, for the word Allspark Animation. And this application, which was done on August 25th, is related to entertainment services, namely production and distribution of movies, television series, online series, webisodes, digital content, entertainment media products and services for motion pictures, television, and or internet. What that means exactly, and what's good is when you go on the U.S. Patent Office's website, is you can see what it relates to with other related media. It means that I think Hasbro has plans to start doing probably more direct DVD animations, or something that's on more of a larger scale than just television series. And a lot of people are saying that this might tie into Hasbro when they made their announcement of the Allspark Studios, which is going to handle the Transformers Cinematic Universe origin stories, which are going to be animated movies of that.
Okay.
And which also supposedly is going to have Stretch Armstrong and My Little Pony as their own other movies too. Just building their brands. I feel like, this is just me personally, I feel it's going to be like something similar to what DC does with their animated movies, where I feel like every 3 months we get a new one, and those
Okay,
movies
okay.
are great. I saw their Killing Joke one recently,
Mhm.
and pretty faithful to the original comic book. So I mean, if they have something that, if it's direct to DVD or direct to Blu-ray or whatever you want to call it, direct to home video, um, and they could have something that could be even a higher rating point. It could be
Mhm.
a PG-13 something or whatever. Um, it could lead to better storytelling. And because it's animation as opposed to live action, there's less obligation for it to have human characters. Because I find that by it being live action, you gotta have human characters and human scenes and stuff like that. Where if it's animation, then you could do all Cybertronian story episodes. I think the only negative, and that's just me personally, is because it's based
Mhm.
in the cinematic universe, we might get stuck with that aesthetic, which
So like another Prime all over again, basically.
I'm Prime still, because it wasn't the movie continuity, didn't have to stay too true to the look that the movie continuity has, because you had characters like um, RC. Like
Yeah.
RC, the way her face looks would not look like that in a movie continuity. Or same thing with, I wouldn't say so much Bulkhead, but Smokescreen, even characters like Starscream. There was just certain characters that just didn't have that kind of movie aesthetic, uh, but a lot of them still were influenced by it. Where
Mhm.
this, I feel that if they do something based in the cinematic universe, I really hope they try to escape the way that they design movie characters, and go with something that's a little less, I don't want to say mechanical, but a little less steampunky. I don't know how to
Mhm.
describe it. It's just something that you could really just enjoy the soft edges of animation instead of the hard edges of CG.
So
And
like you don't want to see like all the gears moving and all that kind of stuff.
I think that I care more about the heart of the soul of the characters than really the visual effects of it at this point. I mean, if animated has taught us anything, it's the simplicity of design that we enjoyed more.
Yeah.
It was the less lines and the simplicity of the animated designs were nothing we didn't care about, because it was all about the characters and the storytelling and the voice acting. So more lines and more detail doesn't mean a better story. And I really hope that while it looks like we're going to get some cinematic universe stuff, because that's their big money makers, maybe at some point with this Allspark Animation trademark, we might see some original G1 stories, or fingers crossed, original Beast Wars stories. Who knows? Something from outside those, in the grand continuity of things. Again, I look at DC
Some
Comics.
return to car robots,
Oh,
son.
maybe. Huh? Maybe.
Mm.
That I wouldn't be surprised. You could do
or maybe,
a prequel
or
story.
or maybe make us some new stuff like Alternators gets its own storyline. But I mean, that's
Or yeah,
a
well,
dead
that's that.
line. But
Or
still,
Machine Wars. Something that essentially really didn't get fleshed out too much in the material that it did have to work with. I mean, again, I look at DC and what they do, and with them, there's no rules. Every single one of those movies that they put out every 3 to 6 months, those don't have any continuity within each other. They're all their own standalone, let's tell a story. Let's tell a story that's about Darkseid. Let's tell a story about the origin of Wonder Woman. And none of these movies are tied to each other. They're their own
one
standalone things.
one thing I do like is I remember at first when the new 52 came out, they were like, "Oh no, all of our comic books now, all of our stories are going to be about the new 52." But then they kind of bended a bit with the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Returns, and then they bended again with the Killing Joke. Then they bended it again, like with Arkham Asylum. I did like the fact that they kind of came out and did Flash Paradox and then New 52, but then they're like, there's still a lot of good stuff we could mine. Forget that. Let's double back
Yeah,
and do all these other good
and it's
stuff
the
that we
same thing.
have.
Like they have, just like in the case of DC, that they have 75 years of characters to pull from and stories and all these stories that they could retell in animation. And because it's a direct to DVD kind of thing or direct to Blu-ray, you could also put a higher age rating and be a little more mature than something that has to confine to the censorship of national television. In this case, I kind of hope we get the same thing. 30 plus years of Transformers stories and all these characters and all these shows and all these continuities. It'd be really cool to revisit a lot of different things, or go like, hey, let's tell a little side story that happened between season 2 and season 3 of Beast Wars, or there's so many things that could be done.
We
You
still
know.
got most of the voice actors for that.
Oh yeah, totally. That's something that easily you pull that whole Ocean Group crew back together. Well, that was the thing with again. I don't want to go off on topic, but when I watched Killing Joke, guess who they brought? They brought back everybody. They brought back Mark Hamill for Joker. They brought back Kevin Conroy, and obviously Harley Quinn wasn't in it. But they're like, well, I guess we're going to get Tara Strong, who was known for Harley Quinn. We'll get her to do Batgirl in this case. Like they still were able to pull that crew back together, and it's the same thing. Batman the Animated Series predates Beast Wars by, I think, like 5 years. So if they were able to pull that whole crew back together, it's not crazy to say, hey, Gary Chalk, hey, Scott McNeil, hey, David Kay, all guys that are still young and spry,
And
you know,
still active.
and still active, and no offense to them, still affordable, still able to get them together. I'm pretty sure a Beast Wars, you know, movie would be great. A little, animated movie of all kinds of stories. And again, when you have Scott McNeil, you have half the cast right there. So you're good to go.
Well, Gary's doing TV shows and movies as well.
Yes.
Like I like the fact that when I think it was the new Godzilla, he shows up in the beginning and I squealed. I had to keep quiet, but I was just like, I met him.
He's really good on guitar.
He is.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is something that I hope to see more of, because I feel like currently right now in 2016 and 2017, Transformers has been kind of in a funk in terms of animation and televised, and anything that's on a screen related to Transformers fictionally hasn't been really hot right now. I mean, you have Rescue Bots that's really, well, it could be enjoyable. It's not aimed at an older audience. Our idea is kind of the same thing, and the Bay movie was the Bay movie. So we kind of were in a weird place right now in 2016, 2017. The comics are still pretty good, but it'd be nice to have something from an animation standpoint that's good. And not to forget also, we had the Combiner Wars animation from Machinima, and even that was kind of, it was hit or miss. So I'm looking forward to this